Hello, everyone, and welcome to 5 Days at, the series where we try to get a 360-degree perspective into interesting product companies and to understand how they do what they do. In this edition, we are spending some time with Hyperscience, the started in Sofia in 2014 company that turns paper documents into machine-readable data using machine learning. Their customers are typically organizations that have to deal with huge amounts and varieties of documents, such as companies from the financial sector, from the insurance industry, governments, and healthcare institutions. Hyperscience has to date raised over $50 million in venture capital from leading VCs such as Stripes Group and Firstmark Capital. The company has grown to a team of over 100 people distributed between the three offices in Sofia, New York, and London. So we are spending 5 minutes in 5 consecutive days with people from Hyperscience to find out what's their secret sauce. Let's dive in. So this is the first day of our journey exploring Hyperscience from the inside, and we'll be looking at how products are developed here, products that bring real value to customers. I'm talking to BOYAN KELCHEV, who has quite interesting experience in both engineering and product roles between Valencia, Toledo, San Diego, Boston, and the Silicon Valley. He has also done a project or two with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology before joining Hyperscience as product manager based in New York. Hi, BOYAN. What brings you to Hyperscience? What excited you about the company?
Thank you. Interestingly enough, what brought me to Hyperscience is also what keeps me at Hyperscience and what excites me about the company every day. And I'd say there are a couple of different things that I would highlight. One is the connection with Bulgaria, and I think that is a little bit personal, of course, but the ability to work at a company that spans 3 different offices in 3 different parts of the world is really important to me. And as an added benefit, the ability to speak my mother tongue on a daily basis with some of my colleagues really matters to me. At the same time, this pales in comparison with 2 of the other reasons that I wanted to highlight. One is the business, and the other one, the people. And when it comes to the business, I'll share a quick story. I met the VP of product of Hyperscience about a couple of years ago at an event here in New York City. It was something along the lines of machine learning at the enterprise. And what really stuck with me was a story he told me about a very particular project that Hyperscience was doing with a large federal agency of the United States. And what was interesting to me was that that was one of the more concrete use cases that I had heard about of machine learning being applied to the enterprise with really a large impact on a very particular problem that the government was seeing. And so having a business model with a very concrete impact that you're providing to your clients, something that actually not that many companies out there can boast about, especially so early in their journey as Hyperscience. So this really was very important to me. And then the people, of course. Another interesting story there is actually once I was given an offer by Hyperscience, I spoke to a friend of mine who works for the venture capital firm, and she helped me do a little bit of due diligence on the company before I joined. And a consistent message that I was hearing from a lot of the people that she talked to was that the people at Hyperscience are smart, hardworking, and grounded. And these were things that I was looking for in the colleagues that I would work for, and this really resonated with me as well.
That's quite an interesting approach to do a due diligence of a company together with a VC before you join it. I think one of the questions we'd often ask when it comes to startups is exactly, are those companies stable? So what were the arguments, or what are the arguments that Hyperscience is stable now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at this stage of the company, and the company is much bigger and in a very different place from when I started a couple of years ago. But we've gotten a lot of VC funding. Our business is very healthy. Hyperscience has actually gotten great product market fit fairly early on. And I think part of it is probably luck. Part of it is the execution that my teammates and I have been able to do. But the problem that we're solving is very important to our clients today. It was a couple of years ago, and today, especially in the environment of COVID and the ability to, or the need to be able to work from home is something that is showing us that the solution that we're providing to our clients is even more and more important. We're helping them save costs. We're helping them automate different business processes and making them more efficient so that they can be more cost competitive as well.
Yeah, right. I remember you recently announced you have like 300% year-on-year growth. What does your role actually include, and how closely do you work with the engineering office in Sofia?
Much like any product manager out there, I think the main goal of my job is to deliver the right products to clients. And this translates into a couple of different things. One of them is doing research, so understanding the industry that we operate in, understanding the pain points of our customers. I work very closely with our customer experience team, which at Hyperscience is the team that sits closest to our customers. I work with our product marketing managers and try to read reports on the industry, as well as kind of really understand what is being developed by some of our competitors, and more importantly, really, what do our competitors' customers like about our competitors' products and what they don't like about our products. I think this helps us find the right opportunities for things to focus on ourselves as well. And then after doing research, the next step of kind of the product development process is really communicating those opportunities to engineering and other parts of the organization. You can imagine that engineering is extremely busy. On a daily basis, they're working on some very complex and very interesting problems, and they don't have as much time to learn about the industry, learn about the use cases at our clients. And so the ability to synthesize that information and provide it to them in a digestible manner is extremely important. And so
what are Hyperscience plans for 2020? You just said you are part of working on the strategy and building the plan for the next years and quarters. What do you expect for this year?
So Hyperscience has big ambitions for this year and the coming years. One of the things that we're looking at is, you probably know our product fairly well. What we do today is the ability to extract information from documents and provide them in a structured format to other software systems that sit behind or after Hyperscience. As we're looking into the future, we're thinking about going into much more complex use cases in terms of the types of documents that we process, as well as kind of more broadly thinking about how can we model entire business processes rather than just the pieces of those business processes that have to do with document processing. And as we think about that, there are a number of different things that we need to deliver on, and one of them is growing our team. Right now, I am building a team. A lot of my colleagues are. I'm hiring for product managers, technical program managers. We recently hired a technical writer as well. And without building the right team, there will be no chance that I have all the time to deliver on all of these projects myself. And I think that's true for almost any department within the company.
Great. Thank you, BOYAN, for this overview and actually more in-depth look into what the product development at Hyperscience is doing. In the next days, we will be also talking to your colleagues from the engineering and the machine learning divisions. I'm quite excited to find out more about what they're cooking in Sofia. And with that, thank you and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
So Hyperscience is quite well known in the tech community for its engineering excellence. Today we are diving deeper into the engineering department and talking to Peter LEVI, a full stack developer with 19 years of experience who decided to spend the past 4.5 of them at Hyperscience. Peter is already here with us and I see you have support there. Hi Peter, who's that with you?
Hello Alex, yeah, this is Kamen, he's my son. He'll be helping me today with the camera setup. It's a bit complex.
Great. Thank you, Kamen, for being here with us as well and for supporting Dad in this task. You are, as far as I got that, one of the oldest members of the team of Hyperscience, which was started in Sofia originally. And I would love to know what brought you to Hyperscience actually after 15 years at other companies. And
what brought me to Hyperscience? Chance, to be fair. 4 years ago, it was an early startup, very much veiled in mystery. My first impression was, are these guys even real? Even the website was super strange and geek. But back then, Hyperscience was, and it still is, one of the few companies in Sofia actively working on actual machine learning problems. This was interesting to me, and the time was also right for me for a change back then. All the people I met at the interviews were really, really smart. This was a major factor for me. The description of what they were doing, it was a bit vague and unconvincing. I even thought, will I be jobless in 6 months? Still, I chose to believe them and jumped in. The vision of the company changed quite dramatically several times since then. Eventually, things started making a lot of sense.
You actually mentioned that Hyperscience is one of the very few companies that really work with machine learning in Sofia. What are the technologies you are working with, and what do you personally find most exciting?
Our technology stack is fairly mainstream and well established, but it's also sufficiently current and modern. We use Python, Django REST framework on the backend, React and TypeScript on the front end, a little bit of Redux that we are now slowly replacing in favor of pure React with hooks. The UI is in the form of a single page web application. The backend and the background jobs run in Docker containers on-premise in our client's infrastructure, because usually their data is very, very sensitive. They're very sensitive to their data. Data itself is stored in one of several supported databases. By the way, we have made several contributions to Django, because their support for Oracle and MS SQL turned out to be somewhat flaky in places. You asked me about the machine learning parts. For the machine learning models, we use both TensorFlow and Torch, and there are really, really well established processes around how do we measure our models, how do we train them. Like, several of the teams are dedicated specifically to this. The most exciting part for me lie not in the technology stack, but in the variety of different challenging problems that we have to solve. In dealing with all that ambiguity around some of those problems, in the heated discussions as we seek the perfect solution, basically, the right balance between what needs to be done, what we ideally would love to do, and what we actually have time to do. Oftentimes the implementation itself is quite challenging on its own, but the harder the battles, the sweeter the victory. I often work closely with colleagues from product in order to resolve the huge amount of ambiguity that we deal with. Our product is a fairly complex mix of non-trivial machine learning parts coupled with human-in-the-loop parts that require a fast and smooth user experience. So projects often benefit from someone with cross-functional experience to help with the right balance between these two fairly diverse aspects of it.
Yeah, we'll be having also a separate conversation with Ivo, who is leading the machine learning department. For now, Peter, thank you so much for this deep dive into engineering department and what your daily work looks like. And thanks again. Talk to you soon. We heard quite a lot about machine learning in the past 2 days. At the end of the day, that's the heart of what Hyperscience is doing. So today we are going to take a look at what the machine learning department is doing. And here with me is Ivo Stranjev, who is the director of machine learning at the company. He's been taking different roles among the years because he's one of the oldest employees there. So great to have you, Ivo, here. Can you briefly walk us through your journey with the company?
So when I joined, we were about 6 people in Sofia, I believe. And now every single week in the company, more people join than used to be back then. Back in the day, we used to do short projects for 1 to 2 weeks. And now we do just one product that we develop over time. And it's become really a great great product. It's very appreciated by our customers, and every single day I see us grow and mature more and more. I don't think we are a startup anymore. We are more like a scale up, and we grow and we develop so much. And I've learned so much from my colleagues and from my experience. It's very exciting to be here.
Right. And what exactly are you currently working with, and what is your role? I guess it has changed along the way.
Yes, initially everybody was doing everything in the company, then we became more specialized. I actually had quite a few roles. I've been a full stack engineer, then machine learning engineer, then I've been leading one of the machine learning teams in the company, and I'm currently director of machine learning from Sofia. And my current role, it consists in connecting the machine learning part of the company with the other departments and kind of being the person to give information to the machine learning team from the other teams, especially the go-to-market team, which is our sales, marketing, and customer success teams, and then also reporting progress and how we are doing towards the goals that they set for us.
What are the challenges that you need to solve in your capacity, in your role, and what do you find most exciting about that? Are there any cool projects that you're currently working on, or features or products that are going to be launched anytime soon?
So the biggest challenges I need to solve are setting the longer term perspective, thinking not only about the immediate month or say 3 months, but also about 1 year in the future. And we're working on a lot of exciting projects. Practically, we are the machine learning department, so we're doing a lot of exciting stuff. We're currently working on several fronts. We are trying to make our text recognition, which is state of the art currently. We want to make it several times faster, which means not only we will be state of the art and it's already faster than a lot of the other solutions, it will be several times faster. And another thing that's very exciting is table automation. Before I started working on this, I imagined the tables are something simple, very easy to solve. Well, it turns out that there are a lot of weird tables out there, especially in the insurance industry. You have no idea what the table looks like. You wouldn't recognize a table out of it. So we expect that to come out in the next quarter or so. And yeah, that's very exciting.
Right, you touched upon the machine learning, which is your area of expertise, but you're also quite active in machine learning and engineering communities. We see your face a lot in the local ecosystem. What do you think are the most important skills that even languages that professionals in this domain need to gain? And what are the trends that you're observing in this sector?
Yeah, I really like the fact that we try to grow the community by educational initiatives. I always enjoyed teaching. But on the other hand, I really like the fact that we are driving automation and actually making people's lives easier and, I don't know, more automated, faster, I would say. This is the future, definitely the future, and we are driving it. So for me, the technology is kind of a tool. Everybody can learn it. In particular, the typical technological stack for machine learning is Python and PyTorch or TensorFlow. These are the two major machine learning technologies that are used nowadays. In my opinion, one of the most important skills is to set up deadlines and figure out that the experiment is unsuccessful on time. This is one of the biggest challenges we are struggling with. It looks promising, and then you keep up doing some small improvements. It gets better and better over time, but you just need to give up at some point and decide to do a different line of research. And the other thing is, of course, we are solving problems nobody has solved before, so we need to come up with innovative solutions. So yeah, you need to know how to do innovation. And the other a very important thing is there are a lot of publications nowadays. We need to figure out which of them are kind of hoax and just people publishing results that are not real. And this is also big time consumer for us.
Can you share some examples of innovation in your particular context at Hyperscience?
Well, our text recognition software is, as I said, state of the art with a huge margin, and it's built by classical building blocks, but they're combined in a way that they actually contribute to the problem we're trying to solve greatly. And we also did several innovations there in order to make them work even better, specifically for document processing and extracting information from documents.
Great. Well, thank you, Ivo, for this overview, and good luck with the table automation and all the other exciting projects you've undertaken, and talk to you soon. So today is the day that we are going to dive deeper into the engineering department of Hyperscience, and we are here today with Dimitar Kovachev, who is software engineer there. As far as I know, you are also one of the first people who joined Hyperscience back in the days. And I would love to know what brought you to that company at this very early stage, and what exactly is your role now? You probably have a journey to walk us through.
Yes, that's right. I joined the company more than 4 years ago, and I guess it was some kind of a lucky sequence of events, both on my side and on the company side. Over those 4 years, I've been working at various products. They started with fairly simple proof of concept products for different customers or prospect customers, then on some internal systems, and eventually over the last maybe 2 years or something like this, I've been working on the main product of the company, which is our intelligent document processing.
Right. Can you briefly share how is your engineering department organized, and what are the methodologies you are using there? Are there any specifics?
We are using primarily agile Scrum type of day-to-day organization without going into too much dogmas. Basically, we are using the high-level rituals, and this works pretty well for us. Other than that, our engineering teams are sized around 5, 6, 7 people, depending how you count them, whether you count just the engineers or everyone who is also involved, like QA engineers, designers, product people, and so on. We're mostly spread across Sofia and New York. There we are always at least 1 or 2 team members who are in the other office, and this is a particular decision that we had taken, that we will want every team to be spread geographically across the 2 offices, so that we don't lock down knowledge and know-how into only one of them. And we have, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 purely engineering backend teams, or rather feature teams, because we also have front end. And there are also 3 or 4 machine learning engineering teams, which are separate from the backend engineers. And I think that's pretty much it.
What keeps you actually up to date and in good professional shape?
Well, it takes a good amount of effort to always stay up to date. We have a particular tech stack that we are using, and basically every single piece of it is always moving, always evolving. There are new versions of languages, new versions of frameworks. So on one side, we're kind of forced to upgrade to some of them because of, let's say, security concerns and performance reasons. But at the same time, you always need to be on the active lookout for, stuff that falls outside, like totally new stuff, because new ideas and new technologies pop up all the time, and something that was not viable or was not applicable like several months ago, maybe now it's more mature and would fit better in the whole picture.
All right. When you joined Hyperscience, you were like a handful of people, and now the company has grown tremendously. what does it feel to be part of that, and what keeps you excited about your job, and what makes you feel like you're part of something bigger?
It's being able to work with cutting edge technologies and to have a company of really smart and talented people all around you, and it's definitely something that is pushing you forward.
What a great ending, isn't it? Thank you, Mitko, so much for giving us an overview of how Hyperscience is structured and what the engineering teams look like from the inside. I really think that says a lot about the company and its position to be successful. Thank you again, and talk to you soon. So it's another day of exploration of what Hyperscience is doing. Today is time for technology and engineering. And I'm here today with Svetoslav Neikov, who is Director of Engineering and has been part of Hyperscience for the past 2 years or something, but he's going to tell us a bit more about that. Right, great, let's dive in. What exactly is your role at Hyperscience, and what are the responsibilities, and which are the teams and departments you are closely working with? So just to have a bit of a context.
I'm the director of the Intelligent Document Processing department. It's the department that's creating the main product for the company. And lately I've been focusing on defining the roadmap for my teams until the end of the year, and also planning our hiring efforts.
You said you are responsible for planning the roadmap. What is on your roadmap for 2020?
We have a very aggressive roadmap. 2020 will be a very interesting year because we are rethinking the basis of what our product does, and we are expanding it to cover many new use cases and many new customer verticals. So the goal at the end of 2020 is to be able to serve a lot more or a wider customer base than we do today.
How do you make sure that you're really up to date with what the customers need? And how do you make sure also that the team members are bringing, like, know that they're bringing real impact to the clients?
Mm-hmm. For us, it's very important to get feedback from the customers. It's the key factor of our success. And for that reason, we have very strong customer experience team and a product team. They're instrumental in this regard. Customer experience works closely with our existing customers, supporting them, answering their requests, making sure everything is working smoothly, and also collecting feedback from them. On the other hand, product does discovery of new features, so they are looking into the future, but again, closely with our existing customer base and prospective customers coming from our sales department and sharing their feedback in the process. We have regular knowledge sharing sessions company-wide, where a member of those departments will share their stories, their daily work with the customer, and the feedback they collect, and how new features affected. Like they give us real-world stories of how new features we just implemented affected the work of our clients and how they solve their problems. I think for me, what drives me is exactly those user stories that we hear from customer success and product that make it obvious how game-changing the product is for them. And once you know this, it's much easier to and motivating to do more of this to create even more value for our clients.
Right. Great. Svet, thank you so much for this overview. That was the fifth and final day of our journey exploring Hyperscience from the inside. It's been 5 days at Hyperscience. I really enjoyed meeting new people and getting to know how one of the hidden treasures of the Sofia ecosystem evolves and how it works from the inside. I think we should be doing that more frequently. I hope you enjoyed that and see you soon.